everyone, and welcome to today's episode on CWF Show, which is conversations with faith with everyday people working in their careers, businesses, and various handwork, or whatever you can call it. Over the past few weeks, we started showing the fourth season of our conversations with me, with so many people sharing experiences on how they started their careers, their businesses, the challenges they've been through, and how they've been able to overcome it. And a lot of people have been inspired. Today won't be any different. But before we bring on our guest for today, we're going to go on a very short break. And when we come back with our guest, in the meantime, subscribe on our YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome back from that short break. And my name is Faith Afolabi. If you're just joining in, today we have a guest. And she's someone I've known for over a decade now. Her name is Douye Ikhumi, and she works with DAI, and she's a manager of Contracts and Consultancy department. She has served as a consultant and facilitator for the Pan-Atlantic University, of which I'm an alumni of in the School of Media and Communications. She's a coach for over 10 years. She's a life coach. If you need any advice on career, how you can get on board on your career, you're confused about understanding the place that God has called you to be, she is the go-to. Thank you so much for coming. Sincerely, we appreciate the short notice, taking your time, and we do not take this for granted because we know you have so much to give out. So this came up as a result of your post I saw on LinkedIn. I realized that you were talking about people discovering their colleagues, and you had spent time with your colleagues and how you guys have been able to impact the development world. And I felt there are more audience to reach out to us, so that's why I brought you on the show to expand on that conversation. But first of all, I'd like to know, so why non-for-profit? I've known you for over 10 years and you've been very consistent. Why are you doing this? What's driving you?
Okay, thanks a lot, Faith. I say my dad got stuff, and so growing up, we were exposed to his ideology, which was international development. So we grew up understanding the Millennium Development Goals back then. So it was a common conversation in the home to talk about transforming nations, to talk about transforming lives, to talk about indicators. So it was no surprise to him when I decided to pitch my tent in the international development space. And I, like you said, I've been consistent. I've always wanted to impact and transform lives. And so I started working in an NGO, and then I continued, and then I ended up in the, more or less you say, in the global terrain, in international development. And so this is a passion. It's a passion to see lives change in different spheres. So I think it's my upbringing. Let me start from there. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. So has there been any time in your life where you said, okay, you know what, I'm not doing this, I'm going to throw in the towel? In life, there are challenges. If there are no challenges in life, then we will just be, we will not have something to look out for. We will not have a reason to live. So what are those challenges that you have faced along your career? Because I one of them I can say that for NGOs, you get to move from one job to the other because of contract. And that can be frustrating, right? So if you can just share with us, and how have you been able to navigate through that?
Okay, thanks a lot. That's a very valid question. I've gone through quite a number of challenges in my career, which spans over a decade. There was a time when I just sat down and said, Douye, you need to reinvent yourself. You need to rethink, you need to repurpose. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I didn't have a master's degree. And I knew that if I continued along this trajectory, I would continue to work at a certain level. And so I needed to up my game when it came to my CV, my profile. And so at that point, I went back to school and I started doing a lot of courses. And so I just reinvented myself. And I also reinvented myself into training and development, because I discovered that there was a surge of nonprofits leaving Lagos from the early 90s to Abuja and other parts of Nigeria, because there was this just move to the north, move to other places.
Yeah.
And so I had to ask, how do I need to reinvent myself? And I have a passion for training, capacity development. And so I went into that field, and that's how I started getting offers and jobs in line with capacity building. But that's not how I started out. So I would say when you have a challenge in your career, you need to pause. You need to create white space. White space is just have time where you think, where you declutter your mind and think and say, am I going in the wrong direction? And you can do this at any age. You can be 40, you can be 50, you can be 60, 70, or 80, and decide to repurpose, rethink your life, reinvent yourself. And that's what I did. So whenever I have challenges, I sit down, I pause, I reflect, and then I say, maybe I need to refocus. For me, focus means follow one course until successful. And so even if I'm on the wrong lane, I can repurpose and start to follow another course until I'm successful, and then I expand. So yeah, that was a challenge I went through.
Amazing. You said something very remarkable. No age is limiting to re-strategizing. Last year was a shock to the world globally. A lot of people lost their jobs, and some people were faced with like, oh, how do I re-strategize? And that was part of the reason why I started this talk show, to show people how people were able to pivot from non-for-profit to profit-making, and from profit-making to non-for-profit making, But some people feel, okay, oh, I'm not getting any younger, so I don't think I can make it. But you have said something very strategic, which is there is no age that is limiting. Kentucky, the owner of Kentucky, started at the age of what? How old was he now? I can't remember, but that was for people at that age, you're like grandparents, they're like, okay, it's time for me to travel the world and stay with my grandchildren. But he was able to come up with something that is long lasting till today. Everybody still likes to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, So that's, for me, it's very key. So we're going to take the very interesting question I'm about to ask you, but we're going to go on a very short break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. So guys, stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break, and you've been speaking with me, Faith Afolabi, the host of the CWF show, which is Conversations with Faith, with everyday people in Nigeria globally, as well as sharing their stories on how to start their career, how they're able to overcome challenges, and something to get you started to create that world you want for yourself. And we've been speaking with Douye Ikhumi, the manager for Contracts and Consultancy in that. Okay, so now, what is the difference from having a calling, a purpose, a passion? How do you differentiate that?
Okay, thanks. That's a question. I love to just start off by saying we all have a shape.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is to have a shape. The S stands for your soul. The H stands for your heart, which is your passion. There are certain things that you are passionate about. And then A stands for your abilities. And then P stands for your personality, and E for your experiences. So we all have a shape. The challenge in our clients, so let me narrow it down now to Nigeria, is that a lot of us need to just survive. Based on the fact that we need to survive, we end up in jobs where we're just surviving. We need to pay the bills. So our shape is kept aside. Our abilities, our personality, experience, our heart, the passion is kept aside.
Yes.
Because of the fact that we need to pay these bills, a lot of us bury these talents, abilities, gifts, and skills, which are our tags, and we just keep them as we need to take care of our families. That is a reality. Even though this is the reality, I encourage people to still live out their calling. For example, I work in a company, I have my day job, but I'm also a life coach. I also do videos where I project certain things every week, where I encourage people, inspire people. I'm not getting paid, but it's my shape. If I don't, that means I'm not taking up space on earth. I could say, I feel happy, I feel encouraged, and I feel like, yes, there's a bounce in my step. I'm living out the H, which is my passion. So I encourage people, if you're in a job that you don't like, that is paying your bills, you don't have to quit that job and say you want to go ahead and find out your passion and all immediately. It takes time, it's a journey. For some people, they are blessed enough to immediately just flow into their calling, to immediately work in what they want to do. That's fantastic. But in the case where that just didn't happen to you, do what you're doing. create opportunities for yourself. We have the internet, we have social media. You can do so many things online. Once it's ethical and it doesn't run against the value system of wherever you're working, or against even ethics that you are living. So for me personally, I feel like I've been called to inspire people. I ask people, I say, you're either a VIP or a VDP. A VIP is a very inspiring person, and a VDP is a very draining person. So are you a VIP or a VDP? If you're living out your calling, you're going to end up being a VIP wherever you go to. You're going to be a very inspiring person. And you find out that even the finances that you want will eventually follow. And even if it follows in trickles, because you're living out what you desire, you're living out your calling and your passion, your purpose, you will just end up doing it with a smile on your face. It's a beautiful thing to find your calling, and to even find your calling, it's important for you to sit down and think, what do I do well? What would I love, even if I was never paid to do it? These are ways to answer questions around your calling, your passion. And then once you find that niche, then start to do something about it. Start with one person. When I started doing capacity development over 10 years ago, even before I started training at the Pan-Atlantic University, I started from my room. I would invite people from church and I would say, I have something I believe that is within me to offer.
Wow.
And they were I was teaching and training, and I didn't know that my life, I would even have the platform of the EDC, Pan-Atlantic University, to even teach. But I started from where I was, just as they said to Moses, God said to Moses, what is in your hand? So use what's in your hand to flourish.
So you're saying there is nothing wrong in doing something that you're not called to do?
There's nothing wrong with it. But in some countries, you're privileged from the get-go to delve into a career that you love, to delve into a career that you like. But in some other climes, in Nigeria, in Africa, you might end up just being in a career because you need to take care of the bills, and that's an honor. And I lift up the hands of men and women that are doing that are doing things they don't love because they need to take care of their families. In some other clients, it's not the case. You can decide that you want to go into photography from an early age, and you go into photography, you do that, and you kill it, and you become famous. You work for your graphic and all. But it's not like that in all cases. So continue in that line. But I'm saying, for example, with me, I love training, I love life coaching, I love writing. So if my day job doesn't give me the platform for that, I've decided to create something else online. I can inspire people. I could just sit down with my tongue in my mouth and say, oh, whoa, me, I don't have this platform. I hope somebody will give me this. Why don't you create it? Why don't you do something about it? So it's for us to not sit down and have a pity party. I say, you're either growing bitter or you're growing better. Especially as we get older, end up growing bitter or we end up growing better. So even when we are trying to still discover ourselves, make sure that we don't grow bitter but you grow better. And then create your own paradigms, create your own life, your own story. That's what I would just encourage people to do.
Awesome, fantastic. So did you train as a life coach eventually at some point in your life, or is something that you just entered into? Okay.
Yes, I eventually I did. I believe that I have the innate ability to inspire and encourage people. It's not something that is difficult for me to do. But the life coach basically helps with personal productivity and helps to more or less bring out the jewel and the gems that individuals have that they've not discovered yet. That's what a life coach does, personalized trainings for individuals. And what I've discovered is that I have that innate ability, the talent to do it, but I still needed to get professional training. I encourage people, even when you have the talent or the ability or that gift and skill, still get the training, just so that you can sharpen your axe as you go along.
Yes.
So I eventually got training.
Okay, fantastic. So for the last question, before I ask the last question. So now, most times people that are pastors are the ones that have calling, and people that are working in the bank, they're not called, they're just doing business. So is there a difference between that?
This book, I think, answers. It's The Secret of the Kingdom Economy. And it's Paul Cunning. The Secret of what, right?
Okay, guys, you can see. Go get it.
Yeah. It's a fantastic book. I'm reading it for my quiet time. And it just speaks about the fact that you need to serve God from where you are. If, pastors and all have a calling, you also have a calling in the marketplace. Those of us that are in our careers, we need to serve God where we are. We don't need to quit our day jobs and go and become full-time pastors before we have a calling. Whilst you're working, when you show that you are excellent, you're working as if you're serving God and not man, then you are exemplifying Christ where you are. So in the book, one of the things that I really love is he said, take God with you everywhere you go. If you look at Exodus 3, the Bible notice was like, God, please, I want you to personally go with me when you go and meet with God in the tent of meeting. So God needs to personally go with you as you're working. God needs to personally go with you as you try to discover yourself. That way, you would not feel as if you need to quit one to start another. Whilst you're living your life, in the book, it talks about CEOs, captains of industry that are working, but their lifestyle is different. In all of my videos, I say, think different, be different. So wherever you are, just be different. Whatever you're doing, are you selling a product? Is it a service? I mean, like even what you're doing, Faith, you're exemplifying Christ through what you're doing. You don't have to have a stage, a pulpit, and be at church before you do this. But you're inspiring people, encouraging people. You're using this platform to serve God in your own way, with your own talent, abilities, gifts, and skills. So I don't think you need to quit one for the other. We're all called to do different things. And if you look at the Bible, you find out that there were a lot of professionals who are also called and did exemplary things. See Lydia, she was a woman she was in business, but she was called, she was serving God, and through her, a lot of miracles and wonderful things happened. So serve God from where you are. Use whatever God has put in your hands and use it to serve God.
Amazing. So for final words for someone that wants to be Douye, what do you have to say to that person? And then we'll call it someone that wants to be you. What would you say to that person?
Okay, number one, I would have a very deep relationship with God. Make sure that you are connected. Don't be religious and don't hide behind brand names of churches. Make sure that you're connected, actually have a relationship with Jesus. Make sure that number two, whatever your hands find to do, make sure that you do it well. Make sure that you are as effective and as efficient as possible. You know, the Bible says that if you can't be trusted with little, you can't be trusted with much. So whatever that you're doing, do it extremely well, and then God will elevate you and promote you. And then thirdly, I would say, be a voracious reader. Even if you don't want to read it cover to cover, listen to audio tapes, do 5 minutes here and there, adds up. Download things, TED Talks. I've listened to maybe 500 TED Talks.
Wow.
Please, and Rick Warren is a coach to me. I even wrote to him at a point in my life. He wrote back, provided materials.
Wow.
He's someone I listen to. So I would encourage you. For me, it's God first, then I make sure that not a day goes by without me learning. Learning has become a part of me. Is it reading something? Is it listening to something? I do that whether I'm going to be doing a speech, whether I'm going to be teaching or not. If I'm going to just be in my home, I keep on expanding my mind. Because you do not prepare for the interview a day before. You prepare for the interview 10 years, 5 years before that day. You're preparing for the opportunities God is going to present in 5 years from today. So that's it.
Wow, amazing, guys. This has been amazing. I could just go on listening to you. Thank you so much for coming on this show, guys. So it's been wonderful. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Douye, for giving us your time. And we know that people have been inspired and have understood what their calling is and what their purpose is, and also understand that you can do your calling right from where you are. Don't wait to become a pastor. Don't be religious. Be a VIP. And so from me, it's a bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. And so please, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms, click on the notification button so you can be abreast of every episode on this season 4. We want to say thank you, God bless, and have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.